Okay, everyone, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to call the work session for November 6th, I believe it is, right? November 6th to order. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic
for which stands, nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Mr. Sabazli.
All right. Looks like we have a longer agenda tonight than normal. Planning and economic development. Dollar General conditional use. So this item has made its way through 2 public hearings of council, through a few meetings with the Planning Commission. This is due to be voted on by council at next week's meeting. The Planning Commission has made a recommendation to approve the project with conditions. Between the engineer, the Planning Commission and staff, we have about 15 or 16 conditions that you would attach to that approval.
Any discussion?
And they've met every single item that needed to be met for a conditional use to build their building.
I mean, conditional use is essentially, it is a use, it isn't a use by right, but it almost is a use by right. There are conditions that you attach to the approval. So, the biggest outstanding item, I mean, the roadblock they would face, I don't know if it's a roadblock, but the next true test would be, can they obtain a highway occupancy permit from PennDOT?
So the courts describe a conditional use as a matter of right, if you satisfy all the requirements. So it's not something that you can, if they satisfy the requirements, and the engineers and the planners say, yes, they've met all your ordinances, you do not have the ability to turn it down. That's the law, and that's how the court would view a conditional use appeal. It's a use as a matter of right if they meet the conditions and the ordinances.
So the one question I have is, I know on the Unity Center property, we worked with them on changing the facade and things like that. Is that a part of this, or is that a different step?
So they're well aware, the developers are well aware that the facade is an issue. The facade, the final design would be something in land development. That's typically a land development issue.
I just don't want another, if we get stuck with it, I don't want an ugly one. I drive past a lot of Dollar Generals, and some of them are really ugly looking.
It's hard to legislate taste, right? It's tough to say,
These ones make it pretty easy.
how you can do that, but they're aware of the fact that we don't want to see the run-of-the-mill, if it's approved, building, and they've been very upfront saying that they want to work with the borough to get something that is maybe something not typical for what they normally do.
Any more discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 2, Dollar General simple subdivision. So in order for this development to happen, Christopher and Jamie Collins have entered into an agreement of sale with PTV 1298 to subdivide the property. This first came in front of council in September of this year. Their application was accepted as complete. In October, it was not on the agenda for final approval. There's still a lot of things that they had not submitted. Between the October meeting and today, they have submitted almost everything that the engineer was looking for. So staff is recommending that this appear on the agenda for Monday for approval with conditions as outlined by the borough engineer.
Discussion. Okay, agenda item.
Item number 3, the Piverado lot line revision. Last month, council accepted this lot line revision as complete. This is a parcel on the Piverado parcel on Old Leechburg Road. The proposed lot line change will clean up a title issue, as well as a zoning issue. Staff has reviewed the letter from the engineer and recommend that this appear. This is just a typical lot line adjustment for approval at Monday's meeting.
Discussion. Okay, agenda item.
Item number 4, YMCA turf field conditional use. So the YMCA is going to be converting, or is proposing to convert their field, open field, and get rid of a deck hockey area in order to build a new field, convert existing soccer and multi-purpose fields to a natural grass and synthetic turf installation with lighting. Council did hold a conditional use hearing on this. They've been through the Planning Commission. Planning Commission is recommending approval of the conditional use, and staff has recommended that this appear on the agenda on Monday.
Any discussion?
Do we know timeline on the project? Or is-
I would imagine spring at the earliest,
is
yeah.
when they would start?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 5, same, the YMCA turf. So just like Dollar General, there's a conditional use part of this and a land development part. They have submitted their land development plans. They were at Planning Commission. Planning Commission is recommending approval with a few minor conditions. So staff is recommending that this appear on council's agenda for Monday.
Discussion. Okay, agenda item.
Item number 6, Duquesne Light has requested an easement on Miller's Lane. The borough owns a property on Miller's Lane. As you come down from Unity Center Road, the property is on the right. It's a vacant property that used to be owned by the municipal authority. There is an existing pole there, and they need a little bit of an easement from us in order to install a better anchoring system for that pole. This is pretty typical. Staff is recommending that this appear for final approval.
Any discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Item number 7, Building Code Officer, records update. So every few years, the Department of Labor and Industry just asks us to send them a new form identifying our building code official. 2 years ago, Heather was identified as our lead BCO, and Sam was identified as the secondary. Obviously, that will be changing this year, and the recommendation is that Sam be recognized as the primary BCO, which he is actually serving as right now. And then as far as our secondary, staff is recommending that we name Bureau Veritas as our secondary BCO. We currently work with Bureau Veritas on all of our building permits. So they have a BCO of their own, and we would only need to turn to them the few weeks that Sam might be off during the year. So when Heather first came on board, she was primary, and before Sam was here, Bureau Veritas was secondary. So it's nothing we haven't done before.
Okay, discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Personnel and management, police officer COLAs, we seem to see this every month. Our actuarial consultant is recommending COLA increases for 3 police officers. And this is just a pretty typical item that appears on these agendas.
Okay, agenda item.
Number 9, school crossing guard position. We do only have 2 school crossing guards. The issue here is that one of these crossing guards may be going out for surgery in the near future. We do not have any backup surplus crossing guards. Staff is recommending that we advertise and try to hire 2 or 3 replacements so that we don't run into any issues. Right now, if a crossing guard doesn't make it, a police officer is taken off the road and fills in on the corner. And certainly, police officers better utilized not doing something like that. So staff is recommending that we work with our Human Resources Department to put out an advertisement for additional hires.
Discussion.
Dave, they get paid on an as-needed basis then, correct? There's no salary involved?
There's an hourly rate. There's an hourly rate. I mean, they're unionized, a union of 2, and their union contract, is up at the end of this year.
They work how many hours a day? I forget what they call
Not a whole lot.
it. Like 3 or something?
Yeah.
3 in the morning and maybe 3 in the afternoon, or 2 and 2.
Not it's 2 at most, 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon at most. Yeah.
And there's no way to sub out if they're on sick or on leave?
Well, that's what we want to do. We want to hire additional people so that we have replacements.
Okay, I just didn't know if you could pull from other ROs.
No, they're unionized, so.
Yeah, so you can't.
No.
Okay, agenda item.
2024-2026 building inspection and plan review contract. So in the previous item under building code official, we talked about Bureau Veritas. Bureau Veritas is a third-party company that we have been working with since 2016. We've had a series of 2-year contracts with them. They do all of our residential building inspection, commercial building inspection, and plan review. We've worked with them successfully over the last 8 years, and there's a proposal in front of us to enter into another 2-year contract. One of the things that we want to look at here is, are the plans being reviewed on time and are permits being issued in a timely manner? And the answer to both of those is yes. Bureau Veritas has been easy to work with, and the one thing that they did do for us when they came online in 2016 is severely cut down the time for commercial plan review. It used to take, when I first came on board in 2015, it was taking, a month, 6 weeks for commercial plan review, and we see that done in a week now. So the response is there, the relationship is there, the fees will not change. They're, for the next 2 years. So council or staff is recommending to council that this appear on next Monday's agenda for approval.
Any discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Last item under personnel management, administrative new hire. It's not really a new hire. Our secretary in the Department of Community Development is retiring in January, and we're looking for a replacement for her. We have advertised this. Probably had about 25 to 30 applications. Jim and I have interviewed 5 people so far. We have a 6th interview on Wednesday. So we plan by the end of the week to have a recommendation to council to make the hire at the November meeting if everything goes well. And the plan really is to bring this person, if they're hired at the November meeting, he or she gives their employer 2 weeks' notice. We bring them on, we transition that job out with Linda. So the new hire has probably 6 weeks to work with her before she retires.
Great, any discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Parks and Recreation, we ended a 3-year agreement with Zambelli Fireworks for our fireworks for Summerfest. They have sent us another 3-year contract with locked-in rates. That would be for 2024, 25, and 26. Certainly we don't have to make this agreement, but if we don't, those rates are subject to additional increase. This gives us some cost certainty moving forward. And as we've seen with a whole lot of things, the prices are going up. So, based on this, we're recommending that this be put on the agenda for a vote next Monday.
Discussion? Okay.
So this doesn't, I don't know why it doesn't appear on the written agenda, but it's a 2024 Borough HAPS calendar.
It's on here.
At least what I'm looking at in OneNote doesn't show it.
It's on the printed,
I see this here.
it's on the printed out version.
Okay, so, every year, we have this, Borough HAPS, and we've sort of found a way to promote our events, Summerfest, Christmas at Plum Creek, movies, our Easter event, Cleanup Day. We advertise these every year ahead of time. So we have the proposed 2024 Borough HAPS calendar in your materials there. We're just asking that you approve those dates so that we can, we're hoping to put together a magnet that we give away at Christmas, our Christmas event in early December. So those dates are out there.
What's the Saturday, December 14th, Christmas?
Sign brunch?
Sign brunch?
Cinebrunch. Cinebrunch. So, yeah, so this year, we're doing a Cinebrunch for the kids, a Christmas movie with refreshments on a Saturday morning in early December. We're not sure if we're going to have it in the gymnasium or up in the banquet room, but this is our first year for it.
Great. Any other discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Finance, 2024 proposed budget. I've been meeting with our finance director, and we've met with department heads to go through requests for the 2024 budget. Mike Whittico and I had met with the finance committee about 2 weeks ago, and Mr. Whittico will be here at the meeting next Monday to do his annual budget presentation. It's not an agenda item. You don't have to put them, and it's not a formal agenda item. We're going to approve something. He's just going to introduce the budget and start the 30-day time clock for display of the budget before approval.
Discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Roads, equipment, and grounds. Back in June or July, council had received a letter from the property owner at the corner of New Texas Road and Old Leechburg Road about trucks making that turn there, right on that S bend, making that turn. It's nothing that probably hadn't happened over the years, but the property owner just built that house in the last 10 years, and there are issues with these tractor trailers coming up onto his property. He had asked council at the time to send a letter to PennDOT asking for a safety study. Council, based on staff's recommendation, waited on that, because if we do enter into this agreement with PennDOT for a safety study, we are bound to do and implement whatever they recommend. So there's too much of an unknown there. We had our traffic engineer look at it. Public Works and I met on site with PennDOT earlier in October, and PennDOT says, their recommendation is that we request a study just to limit the size of the trucks that make that turn, the right turn from New Texas onto Old Leechburg Road. So, they're saying that's all they can do, and our traffic engineer agrees that that's probably all you can do without acquiring additional right-of-way from those property owners. Staff recommends that we put this item on the agenda for Monday, asking PennDOT to do the study, looking at limiting the size of the trucks that can make that right-hand turn.
Discussion?
So if we make it specific, they will not come back and say you need to acquire land, do a roundabout, or do several other things.
No.
They're specifically gonna look at
That's correct.
limiting a truck.
That's correct.
Okay.
So what do they mean by size of trucks? They mean weight or actually
Length.
length?
What's allowed now?
I've never
52
really
foot or something?
seen that before.
There's no limitation.
Well, that's probably what's going through there now, tearing up that yard, 52 footer, so you wanna go a lot less than that.
So they'll do this for free,
Sure, we've done it before.
but whatever they say, we are bound to
Fix it.
do.
Right, and
They're just gonna look at the size of the truck.
exactly, our request will be very narrow,
Okay.
and, the answer can only be, a certain length of truck.
And all we would do is put up a sign that says, no trucks longer than X
Sure,
number of
you
feet
know.
can make a right turn, like no right turn.
Right, and, the sign is only as good as the enforcement, right?
Yeah,
So,
right.
we're not gonna have a police officer stationed there to watch that, but it gives us a little more teeth, when trucks, end up on the
Gotta
rock.
get started, yeah.
So, we've had tow trucks down there before, pulling these tractor trailers, off of the embankment there, so it would give the police some teeth to write a citation.
Dave, just a thought, what about our school buses, because they're pretty long too?
Well, we will make sure that, I would imagine whatever is allowed to turn there will be longer than a standard school bus, but we'll talk to PennDOT before we look at that study to make sure that those will be included, to allow them to make the turn.
Any more discussion? Okay, agenda item.
Local share account grant resolution. So, local share account grants, these guidelines were published in July of 2023. Applications are due at the end of this month. This money comes from the PA Horse and Gaming Act of 2004. 2 years ago is the first local share account grant that I remember. Council applied for it, and you can apply for projects up to $1 million. Are we going to get funded for $1 million? Definitely not. But we asked for $1 million related to the site of our old Borough building for demolition purposes. That was funded in the amount of $250,000. So we're in the process right now of conducting asbestos studies on those buildings, and once that's complete, we'll use that other grant money to tear down those buildings. This year, for the application, staff looked at items that we know were initially asked for in the 2024 budget and 2023 budget and weren't included. So in order to make any headway at our old site, before that old Public Works building can be demolished, we need a new pole building for Public Works. It was in the 2023 budget. Based on other needs for Parks and Recreation, that money was moved to other projects, so that building was not built. Based on the tightness of our 2024 budget, it was not included in that budget either. So we need to do something to clear the stuff out of that building and tear that old building down. So we're focusing on Larry Mills Park as the area for this grant. We're looking for council to approve a resolution asking us to apply for funds for a pole building and other items for Larry Mills Park.
Discussion.
And once again, we'll ask for as much as we can, but realistically, you should expect no more than $250,000 or $300,000, which we'll gladly take.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, agenda item.
Number 17, acceptance of an easement. Council has talked about this item back in, what month was it, June? Yeah. Mr. Edwards is a property owner on New Texas Road. He owns property right next to our storm pond, right by Rockland Manor. The house is in the process of being built. When the house was built, we had entered into an informal agreement with the property owner. We have accessed our storm pond through that property for a number of years, and we probably could have continued to do so without an easement, but we wanted to formalize that easement moving forward as the house was built. And at the same time, in June, the property owner was asking the borough for an easement to come through our property to get to the sanitary sewer. We talked about it back in June. It didn't move forward. There were a lot of details that were lacking. We now know that the property owner does not need an easement from us in order to get to the sanitary sewer. They found a tap on their property, so there's no need there. However, we are still asking, and the property owner has agreed to dedicate an easement to us that gives us the right to come in and maintain that storm pond. So the recommendation is that council by resolution accept the easement from the Edwards so that project can move forward.
Discussion.
So, Dave, anytime ownership changes hands, does that easement agreement stay in place?
So the easement will be recorded against their deed at the county. So yeah, it'll stay in place.
Okay.
Any other questions? Comments? Okay, agenda item. And that does bring us to the end of our agenda tonight. I see there's people here. If public comment, please feel free to come on up.
If I can I just wanted to know when the voting was, like what time it started.
I'm sorry, you have to.
Sorry.
It's not just us you're talking to.
All right,
There's-
my
yeah,
bad.
that's all right.
I was just wondering for Monday for the Whitney Downey, 9959 Salzburg Road. For the voting for the Dollar General on Monday, what time will that occur?
So the public meeting starts at 7.
Starts at 7,
And
okay.
it'll be an agenda item, so if you want to sign up to speak about an agenda item before it's voted on, the forms will be at the back of the room. They're also online? No, they're not online?
Well, yes, you can sign up there
Yeah,
ahead of time, or you can do the form when you come in.
right. So
Okay.
if you want to talk about an agenda item, certainly that'll happen before anything's voted on. If it's a non-agenda item, that's typically at the end of the meeting.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, thank you all for being here. We are adjourned.
Here you go.